Okay, so today I want to do a kind of an overview sugya of the whole chi of Shomer. It's more like a lumdish ashir. So it's going to be some lumdis and some svaras. It's gishmak, but it's like an overview a little bit of the whole concept of Shomer. So we learned in the last few weeks, for example, that there's a few things that a Shomer Sachar, for example, a paid watchman, has a greater level of responsibility than an unpaid watchman. A classical neighborly, I'm going away, watch my thing, watch my that. That's a Shomer Chinam. And then there's a guy you're paying for it. Let's say he has a job in a store. So as part of his responsibilities as a cashier, he's got to watch over certain things in the store, so you're paying him essentially. So there, we said he's chayiv on more. What's the chayiv? The chayiv of a shomer chinam is only on pshia. Pshia is if he's negligent. He leaves the door open, he doesn't lock the door, whatever. But let's say he does kederech hashoimrim. He does whatever's normal. So let's say it's a lunch break, he leaves. All right, when he left, it's normal. And things of that nature. The next thing you were talking about is, let's say someone gives you something to watch and you leave it with your wife or you leave it with your adult child. That's okay. But if you're a paid watchman, you're paid to watch, you got to leave, you can't do that. It's not assumed necessarily that you can do that. And you can't just take a lunch break. You're paid to watch it, so you got to watch it at all times. Or maybe pay someone else to watch it for the hours that you're not watching it. But the point is that it's a very different level of responsibility. So one difference between Shomer Chinam and Shomer Sachar is the level of achrayus. The other difference between Shomer Chinam and Shomer Sachar is that a Shomer Sachar has got to pay for geneva v'aveda. He has to pay for, even if it gets stolen or lost, and not just for pshia, whereas a Shomer Chinam only pays for pshia, not for geneva and aveda. Because geneva aveda is assumed to be, I didn't do anything wrong, but l'maisa, it's not, I don't have it anymore because it got stolen. So now it's like this. The Shaila and Lumdus. We're ready for some Lumdus now? The Lumdus is like this. What is the nature of the chiyuv of the Shomer? What's the nature of the chiyuv of the Shomer? I'll say the two words in the way the Achrayim say it. The Achrayim is the Stipler, Rav Shmuel Rozovsky, Rav Chanan Wasserman. All the Gedolei Yeshivas have this Shaila. And the Shaila is the pshat in the chiyuv to pay, a shomer's chiyuv to pay, is the pshat that like this. Really, we learned a while back when we were talking about Adam Amazik, we learned that grama, indirect damage, is pater. So let's say I go over to your barn or your sheep. What's a barn for sheep called? A corral or something, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I go over to the place that you keep your sheep, and they're all locked in the door. And I go over and unlock your door. I open the door. Now that I open the door, the animal leaves. Am I chayiv? No, I'm pater because it's a grama. It's indirect damage. It didn't have to happen. Could have stayed put there. It's indirect damage. Since it's indirect, I'm pater. Okay? So one way to look at it is like, that's all if you're a random person. You're a random guy, and you went ahead and go over to his corral and unlock the door, and then an hour later some of the sheep leave, that's indirect damage. But if I'm myself the shomer, and I accepted upon myself the responsibility to watch it, so memela, when I'm not watching it and I unlock the door, so that groma the Torah is mechayiv me for, because I'm a mazik. I'm a mazik because you put it under my achrayus. You put it under my responsibility, and I accepted to watch it. So by me accepting to watch it, by me not watching it, I'm mazik it. And that mazik is chayiv because now it's my achrayus to watch it. It's my duty to watch it. Since it's my duty to watch it, by not watching it, I'm being mazik the item. It's very different than just a random guy that opens the door. Here, I took it upon my responsibility to lock the door, and if I'm leaving it open, then that pshia or that lack of shmira, I'm chayiv for. So it's like a mazik the chayfetz. So tzad number one is mazik. You're a mazik. You're basically a mazik. Tzad number two is, no, it's not that I'm a mazik because it's indirect. The tzad number two is more like when you give someone a shmira, it's a limited insurance policy. He took achrayus for the financial safety of your item. So by you giving it to me, I'm providing you an insurance policy that if it gets damaged due to my negligence, I'll pay you. It's basically explicitly an insurance policy. That's what it is. So I say to you, look, I'm taking the item, and if you're bringing me the item, and Lamaisa, I am going to guarantee you that you get it back, and if because of Pshia you don't get it back, I'm going to take achrayus to pay. So it's essentially an insurance policy. It's more like a Kabbalah achrayus. Or if I'm a Shomer Sachar, I'm taking achrayus that if Gneva Vaveda happens, then I'll pay you. But it's like an insurance policy, it's not a mazik. It's not a mazik. It's just like an insurance policy. So the Stipler says a Gevaldika nafkamina. Whenever you say tu tzdadim, you say echakira, you have tu tzdadim. Now you have to go say, who cares? What's the difference if it's this or that? It's a nice intellectual, in pursuit of intellectual knowledge. But lamaisa, is there an nafkamina between the two? So the Stipler, what? The Stipler, no, but well, we'll see about that if that's a nafkamina. But the Stipler says very simple nafkamina. Let's say, yes, it's really the Ktsoisis Kasha. We learned, I think way back when, in Hilchos Schiras Poilim, when I hire a worker, the halacha is that the worker is allowed to back out whenever he wants. Because you're not allowed to buy a slave. A Jew cannot become a slave. So a worker is allowed to back out at any point. So the question is, if I accept a achrayus as a shomer chinam, am I allowed to back out at any point? Or do you say, right, I'm going away for Pesach, I got some expensive jewelry, I go to my neighbor, I say, hey, can you watch it for me? And he says, yeah, no problem. Then he calls me up, oh, by the way, I'm sick and tired of watching your jewelry. Every night I go to sleep, I'm thinking about your jewelry, I can't stand it anymore, forget it. What's that? But you told me you're going to watch it the whole Pesach. That's not right. You can't just back out on me in the middle. So are you allowed to back out of being a shomer? So we paskin that you cannot. You cannot back out of being a shomer. So frekta ktsois, I don't understand. A guy that's a hired worker, it sounds like it doesn't matter. A guy that's a hired worker, he's allowed to back out. But a shomer, even a shomer chinam, is not allowed to back out? It doesn't make sense. What's the pshat? So zok the ktsois, and this is the way the Stipler explains it, is that like this. You could technically back out of the duty to watch it. You don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But there's another part where you accepted. You accepted upon yourself the insurance policy that if something happens, you'll pay me. And then you accepted an insurance policy until after Pesach. You can't back out of the insurance policy. So therefore, what's going to help you back out of the duty to watch it? But there's still an insurance policy that if something happens, you're going to have to pay me. So therefore, you have to pay me if something happens. In other words, the insurance policy is separate from the chiyuv shmira. According to the first pshat, the chiyuv to pay is because you're going to watch it. It's if you don't have to watch it, you don't have to pay. The second pshat isn't about watching; it's a separate thing. Really, the ikar of the shmira is I accepted upon myself this insurance over your item. Now, to protect myself, I gotta watch it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get messed up. If something's gonna happen, I have to pay. But really, the ikar payment is as an insurance policy over your item. So this is the nafkamina. Nafkamina is what happens if you back out in the middle. According to the first side, if you back out in the middle and you don't have to watch it anymore, you're not mazik is, I'm supposed to watch it and I'm not, it's like damaging. But here, I don't have to watch it, I backed out. But of course, the other time, you backed out, but the insurance policy of the item is still there. You backed out of your obligation, your duty to watch it. You still took a price and item. That's what the disciple says. What happened if you made a deal lechatchila and you said that? You said, I go to you and I say, look, I don't really care if you watch it or not. But do you agree that if something happens, you'll pay for it? In other words, what's the ikar chiyuv? The chiyuv is that the shomer has to watch it, or the chiyuv is the shomer accepts himself the price to pay for it? There's a kinyan according to the Rambam. You may have a mashiach to become a shomer.
There's an insurance policy.
Right. If it's a chiyuv mazik, so it only works if you have to watch it. But if it's an insurance policy, so you can accept that upon yourself. So the Stipler brings a fascinating Gemara in Bava Kama, 2 Gemaras in Bava Kama. So I copied those Gemaras. One's on Daf Daled and one is on Daf Yud. So Daf Daled Amud Beis in Bava Kama. It's the second page in these copies here. Can't find my what's it called anymore. All right. So it says it like this: Tani Rabbi Oishia. Rabbi Oishia taught. Everyone knows, right? Everyone knows that there's the first Mishnah Bava Kama. How many avos nizikin are there? 4 avos nizikin, arba avos nizikin. There are 4 main categories of damage. But Rabbi Oishia expanded that to include 13. Okay? 13 avos nizikin. You may be looking for the name of your son over here, but I don't think he's not talking about that. So Tani Rabbi Oishia, shloisha avos nizikin. What? There are 13 avos nizikin. Shomer chinam v'ashoyel noisisacha v'asoicher nezik tzar ripu shevish avoishes v'arba demasnisin hatlasar. There's 13 categories of mazikin. One of the mazikin, he says, is a shomer chinam who is poisheya, or a shoyel, the step learns poisheya noisisacha, etc. Safrak the Gemara v'tana didan my time aloitani. Why didn't our Mishnah list this? Our Mishnah lists 4. The Gemara says, Bishlam al-Shmuel, b'niskei mom kamayri, b'niskei gufoi loy kamayri. So basically, the Gemara point is that the Mishnah is talking about if your moment damages. Rabbi Oishia is talking about if you yourself damaged. So in this Gemara, it's calling the chiyuv of a shomer to pay a chiyuv nezek. It's a chiyuv nezek. So why is it nezek? It's only grama. If your Pesha gets damaged, you have to pay. Why? So obviously he's learning that since you took it upon yourself to watch the item, you can add a point. And the other guy stopped watching it because of you. The owner walked away from it and gave it to you to watch. It relied on you. And by you not watching it, something happened. That's called nezek in the Torah. Even though that we call drama. But in the parsha of Shomer, the teacher doesn't say mazik. So according to the disciple, he wants to say it's basically an open Gemara that calls it a mazik. Furthermore, there's another Gemara about you. It has a similar idea. I didn't know that, but it's not a short policy. It's a good mazik. That's what he wants to say. Now, there's another very big which is the Rambam. Rambam Tainas like this. Rambam Tainas that so right now we proved from the Stipler's proof that these 2 tzadim, right? Is chiyuv mazik an insurance policy? Is chiyuv shomer an insurance policy, or is it chiyuv mazik that you didn't do what you were supposed to? So it's a very interesting Rambam. The Rambam says like this: there's a halacha in general that there's no shomrim on avodim, shtaros, and karkois, because the Gemara makes a miyut. The Gemara makes a drasha. So let's take an example. By the way, it happened actually recently. Someone was asked to carry a check from one place to the other. The check gets lost, then the organization that he was carrying it for now doesn't get the money, is the Shomer Chayiv.
Can't the check be reissued?
It's complicated, and it's whole tircha, and then the other guy, the donor, is interested, and they go flag him down, and you finally got the check, and it's complicated. Let's say he died, and now the Yorshim don't want to write him the check. So, the Bezdin was busy with this issue. That could be that there's no chiyuv shmira on shtaros, and a check could be as a shtar. So it could be that you're exempt from this. It could happen with a passport. I asked someone to bring me my passport, and it gets misplaced or something like that. Now it costs me another $300 to get the passport. Do they have to pay for it? So the reason is because what else is it?
So you're asking to do it as a favor, not
Either way, the idea of a star is that its value is because it represents something else. That's the concept of a star.
Which is money. Which is nowadays money, that's for sure.
Passport is not money.
Right. No, but I'm saying
value other than what it represents.
Right.
The dollar has no
Correct. A silver goblet has value because it's valuable, right?
Should be the same thing.
A safer has value because it has value, it has a use. But stars have no use. Their whole value is only for the paper you could write a note on, or because it represents something else. So it's like called it's ein gufay mammon. It's ein gufay mammon. It doesn't have value inherently.
Dollar bill doesn't have a value.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
It's also the same thing.
what?
A key is the same thing.
No, a key has a functionality. There's a function to it. It has a function, and that it's a utensil that's used for something. Everything you could sell like
It
that.
has no inherent value except that there's a lock that it could open. So it has no inherent value.
That's the value. It's a
Same
kli.
as a passport.
No, that's
Passport,
gufay moment.
nothing.
What gives it value is its use. Is its use.
Same as why is a passport?
Because it's only representing something. If they would believe me that I'm a citizen, then they don't need a passport. If I could go in and say, hey, I'm a citizen, they don't need a passport. It only because it's coming to represent something else. It's like
this cash would be the same.
I don't know if cash.
We value cash as value.
I'm not sure because cash you don't. There's no two steps. There's no. There's no. There's no two steps in cash. You don't have to go cash it out and then do something with it. You can do something with the cash. The cash has value.
Why is that different than a passport? I'm not cashing on my passport. I use my passport.
No, because no one cares that the cash is representing something else. I don't know. Maybe cash is a star also. I'm not sure.
Or maybe passport might be in metallic, because it might have some intrinsic value. What do you say?
That's the point. But nowadays we say that cash is not considered a star
It could
because
be.
it's used.
It could
has
be
use.
No, because it's accepted as such.
So is a passport.
No.
Passport, I could. There's a black market. There is a black market for valid people's passports that you could. There's a reason why they used to steal your passport.
You're saying because someone else could trick someone to thinking that it's them. So you could say that about any star. Someone could steal a star and be mizayef of it.
I don't cash on my passport. I use it.
Exactly, because there's no cash value. Its whole expense is because you have to go through it represents something else. It represents it's a documentation to prove that you're a
Same thing
citizen.
about a gold coin that was used to get. That was a gold.
Gold coin is gold. Well, I don't understand the tushtel
But
over
its
here.
use is a whole pass. The fact is, this is something that has value. It has value.
It's a ticket.
If I made a pass to get into Disney that had a gold pass, and
No,
it didn't
forget
have
gold.
intrinsic
What about
value.
the pass itself?
The pass itself, it doesn't. It's I made it out of gold. So there's fancy people that if you pay $100,000,
You're right. If someone has a ticket, into a park and you go in and rip it, I'm not sure what it is. I don't know.
I think the Cole kitchen key probably is like the biggest,
The fob. What? The
kitchen key.
yeah.
only during the half day.
So al kopanim, there's no chi of shoimrim on shtaros. So if you pay someone to be a watchman for you, and then they come and say they got lost, they don't have to pay, and they don't make a shvua and everything like that. There's no chi of shoimrim on a star, and no chi of shoimrim on an eved. Whatever that means doesn't apply nowadays. and there's no chiyuv shomer on karka.
Star inherently is it's a documentation of a fact that we only need it because we want it in writing. The star, we don't actually need the star. It just lets us know a certain fact.
Right.
Passport or a check is not the same thing. A check is not the same thing. It's not letting you know. I can take the check and I can cash it. I don't care who wrote it or what it is.
Same thing.
It's not. It's an IOU.
A check is an IOU by definition. Now you're saying nowadays people accept it as cash. It depends what countries you are and what society you're on. If you're a babysitter in Israel, it's very likely you get back the same check that you wrote to your babysitter 3 months later.
I can't take a star that you owe me money and bring it to the bank. That's worthless.
If the bank is holding your money, you could. Okay, so the ad kedei kach that I heard a psak from a very choshev dayan that there's a halacha that I'm going off topic now, but there's a halacha that Yorshim, if a person has 3 children, 3 boys, right, and he left over, and he dies, and he leaves over money, then they split up the karka, they split up the estate in 4 parts, not 3, and the oldest son is a bechor, he gets 2 parts, and the other 2 get 1 each. He gets double what everyone else gets. So, but that halacha only applies to whatever he's actually holding, whatever his money is in his possession. But if he has debt, outstanding debt, that's going to have to be paid to him, it's called roi, not mochzak. And bechor is not noitel pishnayim beroi ki b'mochzak. He's not noitel pishnayim in roi, something that's coming to him. Okay? So if before he died, the father lent someone $1,000, and that $1,000 is going to be paid back to the estate after the death of the father, the bechor does not get double of that. He only gets double whatever was literally in the possession of the father at the time of death. So a very chashuv dayan told me that a bechor does not get pishnayim of the money that's held by the father in his bank account. Because the bank account is dead. The bank owes you back the money. It's not a pekadon. It's kind of like a loan to the bank. It's like you lent money to the bank, and the bank now has to pay you back. Now how you collect the debt from the bank? With a check. A check says, pay the debt to this guy. So it's a star telling the bank, pay the money that you owe me, pay to them. I think most people assume a bank is a pikadon. They're holding it for you. But it's not really true because they're obviously spending the money that you're giving them. So he tainted that a bank is called roy, not mochzak. I don't know if that's so pashut, but what? It's mistaber? I mean, roy means it's debt. It's not his, right? It's not in his possession. So, okay, but al koponim zok the Rambam says, so if I gave this check, okay, back to the check, if I gave the check to a shomer to watch for me, and I come back and the guy's like, I'm sorry, I watched it and everything, it's just not there. I don't know what to tell you. So he's potter. He has no legal responsibility. But what happened if he's like, oh yeah, let me tell you the story. I left a check whatever. I left it on my dashboard and I left the window open in my car and I was driving and it flew out of the car. So you were posheya on the thing. You were posheya. You didn't rip it up, but you were posheya. You were negligent. So do you have to pay in that case? So you'd say it's the same thing. Same thing. So look at this Rambam. The Rambam says, yearly. It's in Schiras, Perik Beis Halacha Gimel. Very, very important Rambam for the whole Chi of Shomer. The Rambam says, yearly, Shem Pasha HaShomer Ba'avodim V'Kayotze Bohen Chayiv L'Shalim. If the Shomer was Posheya on the check, he has to pay. Why? She'einu Potter Ba'avodim V'Karkois. I made a copy of this. Why? Chayiv she'einu Potter Ba'avodim V'Karkois V'Shtaris Elamidin Geneva V'Aveda, but not Pshia. And the underlying points, Avam Pasha B'Chayiv L'Sham Shekola Posheya Mazeku. The Rambam says that Posheya is a mazik. Since Posheya is a mazik, so therefore, on Avodim V'Karkois and Shtaris, if I would rip the check, I would have to pay you, right? Because I ripped the check, I damaged you. So since if I ripped the check, I have to pay. If I was negligent on the check, I also have to pay. If I wasn't negligent, but the Maisa, something happened, that's already been Shomer, and I don't have to pay anymore. So, you heard, Jerry? Okay. So,
there's a cause of his only potter
for Shvua and Gneva Aveda and Chiv Shvua, but not to pay for Pshia. Paying for Pshia is chayiv even by Karka. Because paying for Pshia is a mazik. Okay, so you see clear that for sure the Rambam's opinion is that Pshia is for sure mazik. Shalos, what about the other chiyuvim? What about Gneva Aveda and these types of things? Is that mazik or is that not mazik? Are you damaging or not damaging? There's a lot of different ways you could spin this, by the way. Let's just throw out another nafkamina. Let's talk about an item like gold, like you said, that changes value. Gold fluctuates pretty quickly. So, well, so guy's holding, the guy gives me a bar of gold to watch now in January 1st, and he come to pick it up December 31st that year. In the meanwhile, the gold goes up in value. So now it starts off at X and ends up at Y. The day before, on December 29th, I lost it and whatever, and I have to pay him. How much do I pay him? Do I pay him the value that it's worth at the time that I took? It's a shayla l'gemar ksuvis. It's a shayla l'gemar. No, forget ribbis. I'm talking about chiv shmira. Now,
So what? It's
there's no ribbis here because it's a pikadon. So the shayla is at what point did you become chayiv? Did you become chayiv on the item when it was given to you, or did you become chayiv on the item when you were mazik it, when it got lost? When you took it, it was $2,000 an ounce. Now it's $3,000 an ounce. It's 5 ounces. So now, when you got it, it was worth $10,000. Now, at the end of the year, it was worth $15,000. So now, what do you pay? You hear the question? So the Stipler says it depends on this. If the pshat is that I pay because I took responsibility, I provided you an insurance policy, and I said, look, you're giving me the item, then I'm insuring it for you. If something happens, I'll pay you. I only insure the item that I took, not the item as it goes up in value. Whatever I took, that was my insurance policy I took out. But if it's because your negligence is like damaging it, so you damaged it, whatever the value it's worth at the time that you damage it, that's what you pay. So you pay the later value. That's what the disciple wants to say. He wants to say, he makes it very like yeshivish because it's like, it's tut tzdadim in the Gemara Ksuvis. It's like the tut tzdadim in the Gemara Ksuvis is Gufa arguing on these tut tzdadim. But whatever, the point is that these are ways to analyze the sugya, right? Is it mazik or not mazik?
Say if I care, you can say the insurance policy that I'm ensuring that you're getting back the amount.
No, but the mishas mashicha, the amount that I took, whatever it was that it came into my rishos.
It depends how insurance policy works. Depends how they define insurance policy.
No, but that's what it means. That's what.
It's not what it means when you want to rebuild.
No, insurance policy means I'm taking the achrayas on the chayfetz. When I took it into my rishos, that was the achrayas.
Couldn't a Shomer Chinam make the same claim if he's watching an ounce of gold for you, and when it comes time to return it, because I'm going to return the value that you gave me?
So Shomer has to make a shavua that he's not holding on to any part of the item. That's part of their responsibility, is returning back everything you got from him. So if he's going to cut off a third of the brick of gold and say, hey, it was worth $2,000 when you gave it to me, here's $2,000 back of gold, then he's not allowed to do that. That's one of the, that's Bechlal you could ask. Every Shomer has a good, let's say it's a rare item. He may say, you know what, here, I'll pay you and I want to keep it myself. So he's over like Sachmod on that. He can't do that. Now, just to connect it back, I want to give another example, by the way. What about someone that borrows? We never talk about this at all. What about someone that borrows an item? It's not a mazik. I didn't do anything wrong. So it's because I accepted a chayes on it.
What if the item's already a little bit broken and it was like susceptible to having a full breakdown.
What's the question?
That the borrower broke something that was kind of at risk of already breaking. Is there a responsibility on the lender to have ensured that the quality of the item is
I guess if it's not what I borrowed, right. I think, right, it depends what the regular use that this thing could handle is. Right, that's one exception. That if the regular use is what broke it, then he's potter. So if the regular use couldn't handle this, okay? Now, just to bring this back to the sugi that we were talking about before. If you remember, the sugi that we ended off with last time was tchilasa b'pshia v'soifa ba'inus, where you started off with negligence and ended up having an inus. The example we gave was you parked the car in a bad spot and then a coconut fell on it, right? So tchilasa b'pshia v'soifa ba'inus. What happens if you weren't tchilasa b'pshia? You were tchilasa as a shomer sachar. I wasn't poisheya, but I didn't quite do what I was supposed to. So I'm tchilasa b'gnei v'aveda v'soifa ba'inus. So there the Gemara brings a machloikas. There the Sman, the Shach, make a machloikas about it. It's machloikas. So the Stiper wants to say, could be totally in this. That it could be that tchilasa b'pshia v'soifa ba'inus only makes sense if you hold that it's a mazik. You did something wrong. So the Rambam holds only pshia as a mazik, but not gnei v'aveda. But if you hold that all chiyuvei shomer is a mazik, maybe you don't hold that makes you chayiv on the mishtars, but all chiyuvei shomer is a mazik, then by being mazik it originally, and then the inus happens, you chayiv. So that's what he wanted to say, maybe, there's another nafkamina. Anyway, I just wanted to share this with the Olam, because it's a very important yisoid in the whole shomer. Like, what's the whole chiyuv? We keep on talking about these two parts. A shomer, there's two parts. One is I have to watch it for you, and one is if something happens, I have to pay. So Krishna has those two things totally zebazeh. So according to the tzad that it's a mazik, it's the same thing. Because I'm supposed to watch it, if I don't watch it, and something happens, I have to pay for that. According to the other pshat, it's two separate things. I have to watch it for you, but also I accepted a responsibility to replace it and to pay it back, and it took a price on the item, and that's why I have to pay. Okay. There's two more major sugyas in Shomer that I still want to cover. One sugya is Shomer Shemasa l'Shomer, very common shayla. One person gave it to the other to watch. So I gave it to you, and you went ahead and decided, oh man, I'm going out of town. I told you I'm going to be here for Pesach, but now you realize I'm going to Orlando for 3 days in Chol Moed. Now I don't know what to do. I can't get in touch with you, so I decided on my own, I'm going to go give it to someone else to watch. Are you permitted to do that? You're not permitted to do that. What if something happens by the second guy? Is the first guy chayiv because the owner says, I didn't give you permission to go give it to someone else? So the whole inyan of one shomer giving it to the other, one question. And the second question would be, what happens if you had no permission to use the item, and while you were watching it, you used it? So it could be considered that you stole it. It's like stealing. You're not allowed to use it if you're not. And once you stole it, now you become chayiv for everything, and that's shlichus yad. That's a whole nother sugya. So those two main sugyas. After that, we'll figure out where we go from here. Okay? Shkoyach, everyone. No shir until after Pesach. Shkoyach. End it. There's an X on the top one. Moshe, I'm going to have to call you